everyone. Welcome to another Lockbeard Random Live. On this show, I'm going to talk about, specifically tonight, start out with the Aquatic Ape Hypothesis. But we talk about any subject you want here. Politics, sci-fi, cryptids, whatever. And this is an interesting subject to me, and you'll start to see why shortly. You may remember that there was, I think it was called Mermaids, The Body Found, and it was presented sort of like a documentary, but of course it wasn't a documentary because they, as far as we know, haven't found a body. And but I think it helped to illustrate a little bit of possibility there. If you haven't heard of the Aquatic Ape Hypothesis, it's the idea that humans have had at least for a period in our past, an adaptation time to aquatic environment. And it certainly appears that we all today carry some of these adaptations. I'm probably not going to hit on all of them. I know I've forgotten some of them, but there's enough of them indicating our aquatic nature that I think that it may even be something that we can step up beyond hypothesis to theory. Now this feeds into the legends of mermaids that we've all heard, and most people think this is BS, but I think that there is a possibility that it isn't BS, and that it's not far-fetched at all to think so. We seem to be a semi-aquatic, coastal marine adapted ape. And one of the things that we can see that allows us to kind of see this in everyday life is we like to live on the shore of a lake, of an ocean, along the banks of a river. We like ponds. We like to have fountains in our yard. We like to have aquariums. We take it for granted, like not everything would like all those things around them, such as maybe a cactus, which the question of whether or not plant consciousness exists is a whole nother matter. But or say a desert tortoise. These things are adapted to a desert environment. And so let's say tortoises, those desert tortoises developed into a civilization such as ours, you wouldn't find them preferring to live along a seashore or a lake or a river, because that's just not where they feel comfortable. See, Sasquatch, Wizard, and Irondax has come in the chat. Welcome. I think it's the first time you've been here. And Sandra Piper's here. Welcome. So that's one of the first indications that we have adaptation. We prefer to be around water. We like to shower every day. that desert tortoise wouldn't want to shower at all. The idea of being in a simulated rainstorm every day would probably be a little bit disconcerting to the tortoise. Humans mostly live along the seashore now. Now, nobody's thinking about why do we want to. They think, well, shipping, ports, that kind of stuff. Sure. But that's not all that's going on. At least I don't think so. Now, there's other things going on with our bodies. The way our bodies handle salt, our fat distribution, the lack of body hair. There's one thing. It's called the diving response. If a human being dives, held breath underwater swimming on a regular basis, you'll experience a permanent expansion of the carotid artery, resulting in better nutrient and oxygen delivered to the brain via the blood flow. And from what I've read, it only takes a few weeks for that to happen. To me, that seems like another indication that we are adapted to those kinds of circumstances, and that we can't achieve our optimum IQ without engaging in that kind of activity, the natural activity that we're supposed to engage in. Many people have heard of the next thing. You probably haven't heard of that, but you probably heard that women giving birth in the water have a much easier birthing experience. You've probably seen somewhere along the line in your life that babies know from birth to hold their breath. They have a lot of body fat, which allows them to float very well. Our closest known relative, the chimpanzee, they don't float very well. They don't have the body fat, even as adults, that we have. They don't have the high levels. They don't like to swim. So these are just some of the things that indicate that we are specifically bred to be around water a lot and to be in water a lot. Another thing is that the scientists have figured out, because everyone's experienced the wrinkling of the skin on the bottom side of your hands and on the soles of your feet when you are wet long enough. And they found that there's a neurological response taking place there. Your body is preparing you to be able to have a better grip on objects and to have better traction. So it seems that we're definitely designed to be able to go back and forth between land and water or wet environments. I'm certain I'm forgetting some things, but this is kind of these are the things that the Aquatic Ape Hypothesis is talking about, that we have these adaptations. Like our skin, the chimpanzee has hair all over its body, but humans don't. We have long hair on our heads, and that's a whole nother thing to speculate upon why that exists. And we have beards, of course, the men do, and that's obviously some kind of display for the male. But as for the rest of our body, we've lost the majority of our body hair. Now, if you look at aquatic mammals such as whales and dolphins, they have lost a lot more body hair. Their body is also fairly fully adapted to swimming, and so they've gone a little further down that path, that adaptation to aquatic life. So the thought is that humans went part way, but didn't go all the way. I see you. Thanks for coming. How do you know I don't have a beard? Well, you might. And some women have mustaches. Yeah, Joe. And some women have hair in other places that shouldn't be. So the idea is that where we still retain all these semi-aquatic adaptations, what if in the past, somewhere along the line while that was occurring, there were tribes of people who kept on going? They spent more time in the water, more time diving and swimming, and became better adapted and began not to interact with our kind of human, and eventually went fully aquatic. Now, they probably wouldn't look like that picture on the thumbnail, or the typical depiction you see where there's scales on the bottom half of the body. Well, I'm not buying the scales part, but the idea that the legs may have further adapted to swimming in the water is not that far-fetched. I mean, we know it happened with whales and dolphins, and if humans entering into that circumstance, because the whales and dolphins didn't enter into that circumstance the same way we would have, right? They were, four-legged animals, but humans, already had hands, and so very possibly the humans that went fully aquatic continued to use their hands, and therefore their hands did not turn into flippers like a dolphin. Speculation here, but so they may have retained their hands and giving us something that eventually developed into what some reports say are mermaids. Let me catch up with the chat. If I wasn't born with it, I don't have it aside from my head. Hey, Remy El Halito. Getting all the highs in. Yeah. Now, I kind of came up with another possible indication of our aquatic development that I haven't seen anywhere else. So this is specifically, as far as I know, my hypothesis. If you look at birds and wading birds have a little different body plan than other types of birds. They developed to be more better designed for wading into water. I think that it's possible that humans developed an upright stance, and that was from wading. Going about on all fours like a chimpanzee typically does would not be very conducive to wading in the water. At least, maybe it wasn't the only factor, but it may have played a role. We were wading in the water, and being able to stand upright made us better able to conduct our activities. Perhaps we were wading in with a spear, and we need to be able to stand up straight and tall in order to spear fish. So just to clarify for everybody, um, I'm not strongly saying this is the case. Just exploring the possibility. But I do think that the case for our aquatic adaptations is pretty solid. They're there. They exist. So yeah, that part at least. Uh, our development of upright stance in relation to weighting, we need some more science on that. And as for the mermaid parts, did some tribes continue to develop into more and more aquatic forms until they became fully aquatic and lived as a separate species? Or maybe not even a separate species. They may still be the same species as us if there wasn't adequate genetic change to make it impossible for interbreeding. I really try not to use the word hybridization in cases of interbreeding between different races, breeds, or subspecies. Hybridization just gets weird ideas into people's heads, and so I prefer to use the word interbreeding. So, how possible would it be for them to hide from us? Well, most of y'all are pretty sure that Sasquatch exist, and then they, being a terrestrial breed of people, have been able to hide from us pretty damn well on land and just in the forest. Well, these aquatic people, they're under the surface of the water, and if they have equally learned that humans are deadly, vicious, bloodthirsty animals that we are, they probably want to hide from us too. And they have 3/4 of the surface of the planet to do it. They could hide far more easily, I think, under the water than Sasquatch does in the forest. So if you believe there's Sasquatch and they're able to hide from us in the forest, then it suddenly becomes not so fantastic that mermaids may be hiding from us in the sea. An entire race, or maybe multiple races of people. So let's see what Brandy has to say. It's the sea witch, Lockbeard. He wants to steal my voice. Help. Let's see. Sasquatch Wizard says, goodness gracious, my service is horrible tonight. Hello to all. Sasquatch Wizard, my service is pretty weak a lot of the time, so if I'm breaking up, it may very well be me. Joe says, well, another theory that makes sense to me is that we stood up because it gave us a longer sight distance and also freed up our hands. Yeah, and that's kind of the prevailing idea. That's why I try to make sure and say that it may have been a combination of the two. Because, that clearly is a legit idea. And may have been the case. Brandy says, "Oh yeah, they would easily hide in the depths of the sea." Yeah, I think so. And I like to think that the world is far more interesting than what we're commonly allowed to know. So I'd like to think that this race of people are there. As well as Sasquatch. So I hope that people have actually been seeing such things. But I have to remain skeptical. I have to continue to look for actual evidence and I mean, imagine if they did maintain equal intelligence to us, and their changes to adapt to the aquatic life didn't also come with it a decrease intelligence. I mean, imagine how different that culture must be. Brandy says, just like there is land untouched by man, there's also deep ocean that hasn't been explored, correct? Yeah. Some say that we know less about the bottom of the ocean than we do about the moon, the surface of the moon. It's the deep sea in particular. It's just hard to go down there, and I mean, we can do it, we can pull it off, but there's so much of it. And even if you do dive down, trying to explore underwater caves and stuff like that, it's dangerous. And if you think about just how vast the ocean is and how many nooks and crannies there could be, and if these people are there and they're adapted to that environment and they're perfectly able to navigate such places, we would never catch up to them. A diver with false flippers, or someone in some kind of sub is never going to catch up to them. Sasquatch Wizard said, ordered a booster antenna system and will soon be able to engage more consistently. Yeah. I used to have one, and the connector caught fire on me. It didn't catch fire. Its smoke came out of it though. It was like a USB connection. I'm like, how in the hell did this happen? So, and that was the second one of that type I'd had, and so unfortunately, I do not have a booster antenna now, and I don't want to spend the money on it. They're kind of proud of those things. Jen has arrived. Welcome. So, for those that would like to think that mermaids are out there, I hope that I have given you new hope with these thoughts, that it is very possible that they could be there. And, maybe they are. Joe says, yeah, the world is much more interesting than we are taught. I agree with that. People in power want to control the narrative from the time you're born until the day you die. Well, I mean, I'm less likely to take stories, kind of playing off of your discussion in your live just now. I'm less likely to take stories as anything really, because while yes, you could start to see some patterns that help you to kind of take certain stories and kind of put them aside because, okay, this story doesn't fit with the common pattern that we're seeing in the majority of stories. My problem is that people have heard these stories and their perception may be a little tainted from that, which means the commonalities that we see amongst some of the stories may not be as useful as we would like. They could falsely indicate a correlation that helps us kind of hone in on a potential truth, because they're just repeating stuff they've already heard. They interpreted what they saw, their mind pieced it together that way. I just don't know. I can't there's just too much uncertainty there. You know, how much people are creating more of the reality that they're perceiving based on what they've heard. So that being said, in response to what you're saying here, there is stories of military underwater detonations and stuff that maybe for testing, or some have indicated that they do this purposely to try to kill off some of these mermaids, for lack of a better word. I don't like the word, because I mean, if they're there, there's men and women, they call them all mermaids. Mer people, do we call them mer anything? Aquatic people. But the suggestions have come up that the government's trying to actively kill them, or the government accidentally kills them with testing. And so if we got a situation like that, it's just like with Sasquatch. If they're killing some of them and they are people, they're a type of people that deserve all the rights that we have. Well, the government doesn't want us to know that, because now the government is guilty of human rights abuses. And they don't want to deal with the fallout of that. I have a feeling a lot of people would be raising hell if they found out the government was killing mer people or Sasquatch. I know I would. And I don't put it past them to do it. But, people are like, well, they wouldn't just kill people if they knew there were people there. Yes, they would. Our government has never had any problem with killing people. From giving the Indians those tainted blankets to nuking cities in Japan, they don't have a problem with that. To even like their dietary recommendations that they've been giving us all these years, I find it hard to believe that they don't know what I know. I about what we should be eating. I have a hard time believing they don't know that the food pyramid was basically an instruction manual on how to kill a person very slowly. That you're going to get sick over time if you eat what's on that food pyramid. Not everything that's on it, but that food pyramid should be something like at least 90% fatty red meat and fish. That's what should be on that food pyramid. And we've been getting told ridiculous crap about red meat's bad for you, fat's bad for you, absolute bald-faced lies, or at least a massive mistake. So I think they would kill them and they wouldn't care, but they don't want to deal with the fallout. So that's probably a good guess as to why they would not tell us that mermaids exist and want to hide their existence. Brandy says, I can believe in mermaids. Sure, why not? Yeah, the possibility. I haven't seen anything that's conclusive evidence. Just exploring what's possible, and I think it's perfectly possible that they're there. Jen says, saying hi to everybody. Remiel says, there is also a theory that ancestors of whales were land mammals that slowly evolved for adapting to life in the water. There are bones in their fins to suggest this. Yeah, I said a little bit about that earlier. We pretty much know that whales evolved from a land mammal at some point, and it makes sense. We don't. Well, that's going into a lot, but looking at the kind of life that's in the ocean, you know, and what we've got, you kind of see that that's what happened. There's just no doubt that that's what happened. Randy says, interesting. Let's see. Ramil says, and it's curious that once fully adapted to living in the water from being land mammals, the cetaceans now exhibit a high level of intelligence. Yeah, and that gives me hope that they didn't lose intellect as they changed to become aquatic, and hope that maybe they increased in intelligence too. It also makes me wonder if there's been the reason why dolphins and whales will sometimes save humans is because we've had a long relationship with these animals in the past before we started, before we started killing them, land-based people. That we weren't always killing them. We were eating stuff that was in the sea and began to develop peaceful relationships with those animals. Hell, maybe we could communicate with them. There's a community of people down in, I think it's South America, that fish with wild dolphins. The wild dolphins will drive the fish towards the shore, and the fishermen will throw their nets, and then the dolphins will grab fish that are confused and escaping from the nets. So everybody eats, and they just kind of work together because the fish are running from the dolphins and the people, and it works out for both. Brandy says, oh my God, I just got to watch the new Suicide Squad. Don't want to spoil anything for anyone, but what the fuck? Project Starfish. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to go see it, but I've watched, well, I wasn't paying real close attention to it, but I've watched one spoiler review, and I'm probably going to watch some more because I did like, even though the first Suicide Squad was kind of weird, it didn't. It needed I think it needed a little bit of script doctoring, but I still liked it. It was a pretty neat little movie there. But I don't know if I want to break my current boycott of the theaters of Hollywood, of all their, social justice warrior, identity politics, woke crap that they've been sending our way. I'm sick of it. I'm over 2 years now of boycotting the theaters, and when I started boycotting the theaters, I watched a movie at the theater every week. So, they've made a bad move. The writing in so many of these movies is just garbage, and it's like they're not even trying half the times, and they keep putting. They just keep putting these politics in the movie. Sometimes it's appropriate, like with Star Trek. There was some politics thrown in here and there, and it was okay. It didn't hurt things. But now it's just like you get the feeling that they're messing with you, and they're doing it on purpose. And specifically with people of my demographic. My gender, my race, and I am majority. They're clearly trying to mess with us, and so they try to say we're being man babies about stuff and all that bullshit. Well, look, y'all are just pissed off because we won't pay money to go watch your bullshit that's clearly engaged in a psychological attack upon us. It's just we see it. We don't go to the movies to be told we're a piece of shit, and to watch characters, like that are, from decades old franchises that to be swapped. They're swapping gender on everything. Just if you're not thinking about it, you may not see it as well. But if you start thinking about it, you'll realize like they're taking down male characters left and right and replacing a lot of them with females. While at the same time, they seem to be neglecting existing female characters that are perfectly good characters. It's like, so it's like they're pandering to certain people, and they're not. They don't actually. I don't think they actually care about uplifting women. They seem to be specifically trying to tear down men. So, I don't know that rant. We may get into it later. I don't know. Joe says, I've been in the military. The government has zero problem with killing. I agree with you. Yeah. Brandy says, you ever watched all the Ice Age kids movies and wonder how accurate some of that is? I haven't watched them. I've seen a few clips here and there, but I haven't watched them. You liked it? It was funny. Joe says, actually, there is some evidence that whales made two transitions. Ancestors of the whale left the ocean to evolve the land, and then went back to the ocean and evolved to what we know today. Yeah. It's very possible. Sasquatch Wizard says, wasn't there a video back a while ago with Navy SEALs and a rubber raft doing drills and captured a video of a mermaid? I've seen a number of videos that they claim that what we're looking at is a mermaid, but this is where we're getting back to video. Is it evidence? And it's just that it could be fake so easily. That could be a movie prop. They can do puppets, animatronics, that kind of stuff. And as I've been saying lately, is that it would take some money to make the costume, but it would be zero problem to make a costume and to make up an actor that just a really big guy, and just to film him, and his costume is convincing, right? We can do that now. It isn't like the Patterson Gimlin film, where as far as we know, the ability to make a convincing costume just wasn't there yet. So that's one of the things that benefit the Patterson Gimlin film. But today we don't have that benefit. So even if we can safeguard against CGI or something, we can't really safeguard against a very good costume. So that's a problem. I think that because my brother makes movie props and costumes and masks and all that stuff. He can, if we had about, probably $5,000 is probably more than what we would need to make a proper costume. And then we just got to film the dude walking around the woods. And I could show you that video, and you'd be like, dude, this is good, clear Sasquatch video. That's real. But no, it's not. It's a dude in a proper, convincing costume. Now, if I released something like that, I would definitely tell you, but I might put it out first and say, I'm not going to tell you anything about this video. Try to see if you can debunk it. And I bet no one will be able to conclusively debunk it. It's just because you can't find anything altered about the video, and all it requires is a good costume. Brandy says, I didn't go to the movies. It's streaming on HBO. Oh, okay. I'm not paying HBO either. Hey, Gene. Remuel says, that's very interesting, Joe. That could broaden the possibilities in the stories of evolution that include alternatives to how humans developed. Yeah. Yeah. And that part of that aquatic ape hypothesis plays into, okay, we know even today we still, because we like living around the water, and it's just better for us to be around the water. We like it, that we just like it, and it's, you know, and it's, again, it's good for, you know, ports and all that stuff. And humans have probably been doing this for thousands of years. Now, right now, we're so damn numerous that we've had to kind of spread out inland quite a bit. But I would guess that in the distant past, there wasn't that many people inland. There was probably some, but just not as heavily populated as we are today. So 13,000 years ago, when the Younger Dryas impact occurred, the people on the planet were probably, the majority of them, along the seashore at that time as well. So that impact caused the sea levels to rise 400 feet. So most of that civilization, it was it had to be a worldwide civilization. There's too many things that correlate on different continents and everything with the what structures we have been able to find. So most of that civilization was probably along the seashore, further contributing to the damage that that impact could do to that civilization, and pretty much turning us back into the Stone Age for the most part. So unfortunately, our desire to live next to the sea would not have been beneficial in that scenario because of the sea level rise. Now, of course, some people were inland, so humanity survived, but yeah. Do the nebulizer thing, yeah. Joe says, well, that's what the fossil record seems to be showing at this point, Remiel. I watch a lot of PBS eons and stuff about evolution and life. Hey, Bob. Big Bob's here. Or Big Rob, sorry. Came out wrong. So, yeah. Very interesting stuff, I think. I hope they're out there. You know, the idea that we're the only race of human. I mean, I know we've got our kind of human divided into different racial groups, but the idea that there aren't much more different races of people out there, and I hope that they are. We only think we got diversity. Daniel Lundy, what's up? Welcome. Thanks for subscribing. Hopefully you enjoy it. Now, some of you probably haven't heard of the Younger Dryas impact. Mainstream science was, being the way they are and being resistant to the idea, even though there was already indications that something hit the planet roughly 13,000 years ago. And but they really can't deny it now because somebody gone and found the crater. Very inconvenient for them, for the people that were trying to deny that it happened, but but they found a crater under the Greenland ice sheet. So, you know, you combine that with all the other things we know, and the structures that we have been able to find that are that old. A lot of people had a really hard time admitting that some of these structures are older than what we've been commonly told, like the Sphinx. I can't remember the exact numbers, but people have been told the Sphinx is, you know, only several thousand years old, but it looks like it's probably more like tens of thousands of years old. And it's been altered along the way and repaired and different stuff like that. But I can't remember the name of the geologist who, when he actually saw the site himself, he was like, well, you know, look at this. The erosion of the enclosure indicates it's way older. And it was built at a time when that area was not a desert. It's very interesting. The whole idea that humans have never had a major civilization before is just, there's just too much that indicates that that's not true, that we have had a major rise in civilization. And they built these megalithic structures a very long time ago. And the ability to build stuff like that, you know, that wasn't because of a slave labor force and some logs to roll big stones on. And some people try to suggest, well, maybe they floated them on the river. Well, okay, maybe, but you know, it's still far-fetched. Using brute force or to lift stones of that size rather than making smaller stones and just building out stones that you can move around a lot easier, it just flies in the face of logic. I think it makes more sense that they had some kind of technology at their disposal that made it easier to build things out of gigantic stones than to build out of small stones like we do. We use bricks and cinder blocks and stuff like that one person can carry around. So, we don't have much long evidence that I'm aware of. The government may have the evidence, but I think they probably had a handle on the control of gravity. And it sounds fantastical, but gravity can be manipulated. We just haven't really gotten down that road of the technology. Now, Ken Wheeler has made some simple little devices that can cancel out some of the gravity. I don't know how he constructed them. I haven't seen him put on any of his videos exactly how, but take that for what it's worth. But if you understand what gravity is, then you pretty much know that sooner or later we're going to be able to figure out a way to counteract gravity as needed. That it's within the realm of possibilities. Now, mainstream scientists, they don't really know what gravity is, and they got gravity labeled as its own force, right? It's its own force of the universe. They don't know what it is, but somehow they decided they can go ahead and label it as its own force. But it appears that what it really is it's a form of magnetism, incoherent magnetism, which probably means nothing to most people, but again, take that, and you can go down that rabbit hole if you want, and you kind of need to look at the evidence. Talking about it just isn't going to get anywhere, I don't think. Big Ross says, New York Bigfoot, see me on your soapbox today. was lurking. Jen says, I'm feeling better. Thanks for asking, Rob. Hello, Michael Haywood. Welcome. Joe says, human species were so diverse at one point on the planet that it is ridiculous to think that some of that diversity has survived. Or I think you mean it hasn't survived. And yes, Lockbeard, I've heard of the Younger Dryas PBS eons again. Awesome. That's good. Yeah, they can't deny it anymore. Sasquatch Wizard says, I think these days we have a lot more very wealthy citizen scientists like Elon Musk, etc. Maybe they're able to disclose certain things the government won't. I think I know the answer to that. Well, I mean, I'm not sure about Elon. Some days I feel like he would, and other days I feel like he might not. And maybe he might not because he's been told, if you reveal this, we will kill you, kind of thing. He did try to hint to us about COVID, but people weren't paying attention enough, I don't think. When he took that test 4 times, got 2 negatives, 2 positives, same test with the same nurse. He was trying to tell us that tests don't tell you shit. So when people tell me, they get mad when I tell them it was a fraud. And they get all mad because they're emotionally involved. My mom got it and my grandpa died from it and all this stuff. I'm sorry people died in your life. I'm not trying to attack them or say anything. It's sad that they died. What I'm telling you is that they died from normal causes, and it was just labeled as the 2020 fraud virus. And if you just go and check some of the things I've talked about before for yourself, stop listening to the news, stop listening to the politicians. They are lying to you and hiding certain facts. The overall death rate doesn't show the increase for 2020 that it should if something new was killing people. And we had the CDC website said on it. I read it myself. I bet you a lot of these people haven't looked at the CDC website themselves, but I read it myself several times because I couldn't believe what I was reading. It said on there that the doctors can write COVID on the death certificate if someone dies with symptoms that they claim are COVID without testing them. So not only is the test worthless, as Elon was trying to tell us, the tests don't tell you shit. Not only that, they had doctors writing down people with COVID dying, or people dying with COVID, when they didn't even have confirmation of that fact. They might have had sniffles and body aches, and they said, "Oh, they died. Must be the pandemic." Sorry, it makes me angry because what we have here is the world governments working together for the most part. It looks to me like it's a world government. They just call it multiple countries just to keep you from catching on that there's really one government running the whole show. What we have here is they have committed a domestic terrorist attack upon the people. They've terrorized the people with this thing. I'm just makes me so angry. It's insane. Daniel Lenny says, I read a book when I was about 12 years old of the Indians around the Big Bend of Florida that complained of giants that were cannibals. They could see their campfires, hear them, and feared them. Joe says, I meant to say ridiculous to think it hasn't survived. I thought so. Daniel says, I wished I could find the book and can't remember the name. Sasquatch Wizard saying hi. Big Rob saying Elon Musk Dogecoin. I've heard people talking about Dogecoin, but I don't really know, much about it. I don't own any of that particular cryptocurrency, but I own some other ones. Not a lot, but have a little Bitcoin and maybe 24 others. I don't know if it's going to pan out. I just wish that when Bitcoin was 8 cents, I had bought a bunch of it. That would have been awesome. I would check the price right now, but every time I click onto there, it jacks up the computer and it will probably mess up the live stream. So I'm probably going to leave it alone. Are we still broadcasting? Because some of the stuff I just said, I know puts us at risk of getting shut down. And as you know, and you've probably experienced, they can and will shut you down if you talk about the wrong things. I'm going to try and pull it up on YouTube and see. But it looks like chat stopped there for a second. So if you talk about the wrong things, yeah, it looks like we're still good. I'm going to try. Yeah, I was thinking that it was looking like it was getting they were backing off on the censorship. But then the other day, well, of course, maybe that was just about the copyright issue. Maybe their AI is good enough to pick up the copyright issue. But a lot of people have been talking about this stuff fairly openly lately, and so I thought maybe the censorship was backing off a little bit. Big Rob says on the news here last year said man died from COVID after alligator attack. Yeah, exactly. There was a bunch of stuff like that. I have a buddy, his mom, she was very old, had all the normal, ailments that older people have, and they knew that she could die anytime, and she did. She died, and they tried to write COVID on her death certificate. And he went down there and fought with them and had them remove it from her death certificate. So my question about that is if would it be legal for them to remove something that is factual from a death certificate? You know what I mean? So if they removed it because he demanded it without saying, no, we can't do that, that wouldn't be legal, then does that mean it was in fact a lie and they damn well knew it? I know a lot of people don't like to hear this stuff, so I'm not trying to run everybody off. But it needs to be said. People need to hear it. There's people still, holed up in their houses in some places. They're thinking, the new variant's coming to get us, and it's hitting people our age, and it's fear mongering. They're using it to scare you. Sasquatch Wizard says, why can't the people whom claim some of the greatest footage of CGI show us how it's done? I don't know. But all I know is because I can't be certain that the footage wasn't fake somehow, even by, like I described earlier, just a good costume. I mean, you don't need CGI, you don't need to alter the video, so that could fool people. I want biological samples. And whenever you're never going to convince people with a video. So we need biological samples, preferably a full body. Now, I don't think we should go out trying to kill these people. I'm just saying somebody needs to find one that died from natural causes or something. Hey, B-Land, welcome. Awesome. Yeah, for a second there, it looked like chat had stopped entirely. Remio says, as we become more aware of the reality of mind-boggling phenomenon that are here in our world, gives the suggestion that the narrative of history and science we have now is not telling us everything. Yeah. They control us by controlling some of the information we're allowed to hear. That's why, I mean, it's one of the things I'm so glad I got rid of my TV several years ago. I'm not even going to accidentally land on a news channel anymore, where they, if most people aren't really thinking about this, so they're watching it just getting programmed, just getting brainwashed day after day. And, because they're used to tuning into a particular news channel that fits their political team that they have joined, they don't ever get the other side story. And even if they do get the other side story, they're spinning shit too. So you can't trust either side. Joe says, I don't talk politics because I can't to the point of thinking for myself and turned off the TV. Yeah, that's what I was just saying. We got to turn off the damn TV. Democrats, Republicans, Independents, doesn't matter. They are all involved with the fear mongering. Yes. A lot of times I call them the uni party or the one party. They're actually one party acting like they're two. They hang out together and they just act like they hate each other because they need to. It's classic divide and conquer. But humans are so geared towards picking a team, picking a tribe, and then you stick to your tribe and you defend it to the death. Now that works great in nature, but trying to have a civilization like this, well, it causes all this bullshit. Yeah, agrees with Western. B says, Lockbeard, I no longer watch the news. All fraud, lies, and fear mongering. Yeah. That it is. Strange Land, welcome. Yeah, I don't even know. I can't even. There were some things that I learned about the whole 2020 fraud virus situation that I've even forgotten because my memory doesn't. But I just had a list of things that all indicated it's a fraud. The only thing that throws a little bit of that something's up is the problem with how food tastes. A lot of people have experienced a change, like something wrong with their sense of taste. There are certain foods that when I eat them now, and this didn't actually start, as far as I don't recall it anyway, in 2020. It started earlier this year, where I started noticing certain things have this weird, like chemical, maybe taste. I don't even know how to describe this taste. And it started out with shredded lettuce at some of these restaurants, Taco Bell and Arby's, when they put it on the sandwiches. And it started out with that. Like I had to order everything without shredded lettuce once this started. It's so bad I can't stand it. And it's turned up in certain other foods, like chicken. Sometimes, not all the time. It, just different. It just, I don't know what the difference is, other than maybe where that chicken comes from. See, that's the thing. That's one of the things that switches me back to the other idea that there's something else going on. It wasn't that my taste buds were jacked up. Some people say that my taste buds got jacked up by, or something got jacked up by COVID. I don't think that's it. Because if it made it where chicken, why isn't it all chicken? It's only some certain chicken. Just I eat at different places, so it's hard to say. And I was thinking, well, maybe it's a food additive, but then the farm fresh eggs on this farm here, I can't eat them anymore because they have this taste to them, and it started cut. It wasn't as that bad at first, but it seemed to get worse. So I don't know what the deal is. Is there a food additive? But then why the farm fresh eggs? Have they done something to me somehow? Have I been exposed to something? So that's the only thing that throws a monkey wrench into the whole 2020 fraud virus to some extent. But there's just so much that points to fraud that I'm not willing to toss away that idea just yet. But something's wrong. They showed us all that video of people dead in the street in other countries. I didn't see that here either. I don't know. Joe says, folks, I have to go. Have to work early in the morning. Love the discussion. Share Lockbeard. Thank you. Keeping it real, my friend. You too, Joe. Thanks for dropping by. Strange Land's going to be back shortly, he says. He says, early 2020, lots of people had problems with their sense of smell and taste. Happened to me for 4 months, then normal. Yeah, they were saying that was one of the symptoms. I hesitate to say some of my speculations on what's maybe going on, because some people are going to immediately think, okay, this guy's got tinfoil hat. What if they have begun to expose us to something, and for whatever reason, to whatever the reason is, maybe the population control agenda, maybe, who knows. And it was, people were going to start, they knew people would start asking questions. Why is this happening? So, okay, we got to come up with something that will cover this up, that make people think it's from this new virus, and throw them off the scent. Just throwing that out there. Jen says, bagged shredded lettuce and salads have always tasted weird to me. Must be the chemicals added. Yeah, I used to work at a place that made, pre-packaged, vegetables of that type, and and they would have to dip them in some stuff to prevent them from turning brown and stuff like that. So that's what I thought initially, when at first it was just a shredded lettuce that I noticed it in. And so I thought, well, maybe they're using a different chemical now. And because before I didn't notice that taste. I mean, it never tasted great, you're right. But it was edible, But now that I'm getting this taste, they had like homemade fried potato chips down at this buffet, and I could taste in those. And I'm like, why in the hell is it in potato chips now? And it's not always in potatoes. Like, I've eaten other potatoes here and there. I don't eat a lot of carbs, but when I do, I don't make any sense. So I'm trying to figure out what would be in all these things that make sense. But the farm fresh eggs really throw me out, and it makes me think that it's something that has happened to me. But because there's so much indicating fraud in the case of the 2020 virus, I'm forced to consider that there's something else we're getting exposed to out here. And again, I hesitate to zero in too much on it, but I don't know. Sasquatch Wizard says, I'm still hearing you. Good deal. Good deal. Yeah, talk about this stuff. They can shut you down anytime. You know, I'll just freaking say it. Okay, they're starting to deploy 5G, right? Now, it's been known for decades that these different frequencies, they're not good for us. They do bad things to us. The 4G frequencies, they weren't good for us either, but what if it's the increasing exposure to these new frequencies that's causing these problems? And the pandemic was used to cover it up, to make us think it was from the germ instead of from radiation. Because it's what it is. It's a form of radiation. And at risk of sounding batshit crazy now, I need to make me a tinfoil hat. Gene says, it has been in the food, in the meds, and in those shots they have piled on babies. Yeah, that's another thing. What are they putting in those injections? Gene says, yes, they've been changing our DNA through it at least. Through it all, at least, I think so. Yeah, and that's another, again, it sounds far-fetched, but they can modify your DNA with an injection. They can. So what if that's causing it? You know, I don't know. Gene says, I have to go. See y'all night. Thanks, Blackbird. Thank you, Gene. See you later. Remiel says, hello to Gene. Yeah. I don't know. Something's not right. And there were a number of doctors trying to blow the whistle on some of the issues with this whole thing last year, but the news don't like to give them any airtime. You know, and again, people don't think the government would do such things, but they have no problem doing very bad things to us. You know, it's the same. It's the same government that gave those blankets to the Indians. They've been doing it since the very beginning. All governments have corruption in them to some extent, and this one has been corrupt for a long time. What was that? The Tuskegee experiment was another one. You know, they thought that they could get away with just experimenting on black people and thinking that nobody would care. You know, corporations, they're the same way. They don't care. The people behind most of this stuff, they don't care about the people. They will harm you in a second. They will sell if they can get away with it. They'll sell you a product that will slowly poison you. And as long as the profits keep rolling in, they don't care. Sasquatch Wizard says he hasn't had cable television for 4 to 5 years. You're better off. It's just, even if you're not watching the news, the TV shows and the movies are trying to program you to think certain ways. So, you know, they're manipulating the public. You know, this is why I'm boycotting the movie theaters now. I mean, I used to like to watch a movie every week at least. I didn't have a TV. I just went to watch movies, but the movies have been tainted. So, you know, I started the boycott of the movies. They're trying to program people to think a certain way. They're clearly trying to tear down men. They're clearly trying to destroy family, the idea of a normal family. You know, they try to act like we're being intolerant. Well, you're going to have a hard time calling me intolerant. You know, looking at the way I've lived my life, right? And I don't need all this identity politics in movies, you know, and TV to train me to do anything. I mean, if I'm so intolerant, why am I a sperm donor for lesbian couples? Why am I giving babies, you know, to lesbian couples? Oh, I'm so fucking intolerant. Yeah, it's, but everything is about demonizing people that look like me. So what's the deal? I mean, sooner or later, I mean, they're pissing people off. They're pissing us off. Like, we were perfectly happy with things, and yeah, there were some people complaining about stuff like, you know, there was gay marriage and stuff like that. But most people don't give a shit. It's not as highly prevalent as the news tried to tell you. You know, most Republicans, if you ask them, they'd be like, well, I don't agree with it, but, you know, it's a free country. But they tried to paint all Republicans as a bunch of evil, horrible, you know, gay bashing people. You know, that's just not true of them. I'm not saying I'm necessarily on that team. I'm just saying. Jen says, feels like something is coming. I don't know what. Yeah. Yeah. They're trying to stir this whole freaking pandemic thing up again. You know, where you're getting a reestablishment of lockdown. You got that crap going on down in Australia. You know, they got military in their streets, and someone was trying to defend it the other day, saying, well, they don't got guns or something like that. Come on. You do not deploy the military against your own citizens, armed or not. You just don't do that. You work for them. Daniel Lundy says, y'all don't forget to hit the like button. Yeah, please do. Hit the like or the dislike, whatever makes you feel good. I don't. I know. I've noticed I'm getting some dislikes. I'll take a thumb, however I can get it. So what else is going on out there? I see some of you come over from Sasquatch, from Western Bigfoot, or Western New York Bigfoot Investigation Group. They had a pretty 3-hour long, I think it was, discussion about about Bigfoot stuff. Jen says, my phone's about dead. Be watching on Fire Stick. Night to chat and Lockbeard. Well, good night. Thanks for dropping by, Jen. Big Rob says, stock up on toilet paper and ammo. Yeah, that toilet paper thing was crazy. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. I was going to the store, and I was like, there was a lot of food gone, but there was still lots of food on the shelves, but no damn toilet paper. And I'm thinking, eating is more important than worrying about wiping your ass. You can go out in the woods and get some leaves and handle that shit. Literally. Don't spend money on toilet paper if you think shit's going to be that bad. Go get all the food, stock up just go totally with food. That could be a commentary on the digestive distress of the nation, right? People are blowing out their ass so bad that they're really concerned about being able to clean that shit up. This is why people need to clean up their diet, by the way. If you get adapted to like an all meat diet and get rid of all the crap that you don't need, it causes all kinds of issues with your body, but you're not shitting right. You're that is a gross subject, but if you get your diet on point, you'll make a good clean lay every time, and you'll use way less of that toilet paper. Just throwing that out there. You're eating garbage, and so that's why you're freaking exploding out your back end and making a big mess of everything. Big Ross says good night to Jen, and she returns the good night. So has anyone in here had a mermaid sighting themselves? It's very unlikely. You don't hear a lot about that. It's hard to say why, because we don't even know if they're real. But there's been reports, and as was brought up earlier, there's been some video that claims to be video of captured or injured mermaids or mer people. Makes you wonder, are they out there? I don't know. I'm going to jump back over here on YouTube, make sure everything's working all right. You might see a little disturbance in the video, but due to the weakness of my signal. Let's see. Big Rob says no, he hasn't seen any mermaids. It could be just that we don't just take a stroll under the water. We can't see through water as well as we can through air. We can't just hang out down there all the time like we can in the woods. We can't camp out under the sea. It provides a lot more opportunity for the potential, race of mer people to survive down there and remain largely undetected. And if they're as intelligent as us or even more intelligent, then that just adds to their ability to stay out of sight. So if true, if a collection of tribes of people went the full 9 yards to developing into an aquatic people, then Sasquatch is probably jealous of their hide and seek game. Unseat Sasquatch as the hide and seek champion of the world, right? So I don't know. I wish there was more evidence. If I could see, as the level of evidence that we have for Sasquatch with the Mer people, I would love to include him in my story, my Star Trek. Big Rob says mermaids see some good video of them, but don't know if real. Yeah, it'd be nice to run across some more evidence that makes me, because I feel like we know Sasquatch is out there. We just don't got adequate evidence to prove to everybody. But I'm not sure about the Mer people thing. I'm sure of the possibility, but I'm just not sure. But they would be an awesome addition to my story if they did exist. If I saw more evidence of them, or because part of the thing I'm trying to do with the story is, which probably nobody's ever going to see it. I don't know. Maybe one of these days I'll flesh out the script and it'd be something people can read. But one of the things going on in the story is that there's multiple intelligent types of people from Earth, not just humans. And it's a Star Trek story, though. You don't see this stuff in Star Trek. I'm including it in my particular story, though. And Bigfoot's there. Like an entire clan of Bigfoot will be on the ship, along with some kind of octopi, and there will be humpback whales, dolphins, which does correlate with something that's been indicated in previous Star Trek. Well, they haven't put it in the shows, but in a diagram of the ship, they had what they called cetacean ops, cetaceans whales, and apparently the whales performed some kind of function. They weren't just animals in an aquarium. They were intelligent, and they were officers, and the whales were for some reason in command of the dolphins. I don't know how much sense that makes, but that's probably why they never put them on screen. The only way we saw whales on screen was in the movie where they had to go back and get some humpback whales because of that probe issue, and so then we saw them. But so I don't know what's going on. Why they had the cetacean ops? Is the idea that they added that as something that occurred after the rescue of the humpback whales in the movie, and maybe they realized that, because the probe it's a probe, and it came to communicate with the whales. That seems to indicate that the whales are an intelligent people, right? So maybe the Starfleet came to realize that and chose to incorporate them into ship operations. I don't know, but I kind of wanted to run with the idea a little bit more. that there was more than just humans as an intelligent species on the planet. We just were too stupid to realize that we weren't the only ones. Even have a fungus, if you can wrap your mind around that one and how that would work. But adding mermaids to the mix would really help round out the cast of different intelligent species from this planet. Remiel says, well, people around the world are seeing human-like beings in the world's waters. Maybe not the kind that a mermaid is usually depicted. Yeah. Yeah, a lot of them look they don't look like they don't look like Ariel in the Disney movies or whatever. They look very strange, as you would expect a deep sea creature to look, but that's certainly within the realm of possibility of adaptation for a member of our members of our species, because they got to adapt to the sea environment. So maybe they did. They don't look just like us in the upper half of their body, like the pictures you see drawn and some of the movies try to show. So yeah, I've seen a lot of those. I just don't know what to make of them. How do I know they're true? I don't know if they're true. Hawk Paranormal, welcome. You're conducting a raid, huh? Well, thanks for dropping by. Talking some mermaids and some Star Trek a little bit, and a little bit of Bigfoot, a little bit of ranting about 2020 bullshit, or whatever you want to talk. Random Lives, not really meant to be strictly paranormal. We can talk about anything you want to talk about. Now, the Saturday show is called Lockbeard Phenomena, and that's more specifically paranormal cryptids and stuff like that. Jack's Haunted Chit Chats. Welcome. Brenda Hawkins, the Paracryptid Hunter. Hawk Paranormal Raid. Hello, Lockbeard. Brenda, aren't you going on here in a little while? I was going to try and cut off before you started. I think you start at, like, is it 38 minutes or so from now? Remiel saying hi, Jax. Brandy's saying hi. Stop by to show love and support. Well, thanks, Jax. Everybody's getting their highs in. So any of the new people dropping by, what do y'all think about the possibility of a aquatic race of humans that have somehow remained even better hidden from us than Sasquatch? I was really just describing some of the indications at the beginning that humans do have semi-aquatic adaptations, enough to pretty much, I think, seal the deal that we did adapt to a semi-aquatic lifestyle, and we still have those adaptations, and to explore the possibility that maybe some portion of humanity in the past went the full 9 yards, became fully aquatic, and thus separated from us, and maybe the source of the reports of mermaids in throughout history, really. I think it's very possible, but I just haven't seen enough evidence to say that I think they are out there. Like I say, I think Bigfoot's out there. Just not quite ready to say that. So what show did y'all come from? Hawk Paranormal. Do I not have that one listed on the... because I have Brenda Hawkins' Paracryptid Hunter listed for 9:30 p.m. Central. I don't seem to have Hawk Para. Is that a different show? And I'll put it on here if it is. Let me put this in here. Just bear with me for a second. Because I'm pretty sure most of y'all may not be aware that I do this or have this. I share it with everybody who wants to. If you click on the link, it'll take you to the TV guide. It's helped me keep from missing shows because YouTube doesn't necessarily always notify me, even with the notification bell activated. And plus, if I don't have a device on me, and I'm not going to have a device, like I'm not going to see a notification anyway, and I may forget a show's going to be on, and so I started keeping a list, and it kind of grew into this. And when I decided to start sharing it with other people, I got it set up to share, and I went ahead and started adding shows, even shows that I don't watch. Some of them I straight up don't like, and they don't like me. But I want it to be fair, and so any show that belongs in the TV guide, I want to include them, whether I like them or not. I don't have to like them. I want it to be fair. So I put the link in the chat. If you click on that, you don't need iCloud to use it. Just type in your name and click join. On the top right, a collaboration drop down will come down, and just click somewhere else on the document, and that'll go away because it don't have collaboration. But anyway, there's like well over 80 shows on there. There may be some shows you don't know. Maybe you want to check some of them out. Give it to other people. I think it's a kind of a useful tool. At least it has been for me. Let's see. You got Tracy Benna come in. She's watching Demons of DC, huh? Bigfoot and Non's up in here. Without a Paddle is a good movie. I don't think I ever watched Without a Paddle. Did that come up somewhere? Kind of wonder why. It seems it's kind of out of left field. I've never seen it. Bigfoot and Non. Hitting some highs here. Connor says, no, you just remind me of it. LOL. TV Cooper movie. Yeah. Yeah, it was like a comedy movie, I guess. So I don't watch comedies typically. I'm not a big fan of comedy, so they don't usually draw me in. Big Rob saying hello. Remiel saying hello. So any of the new people come in, and y'all, what do y'all think of the possibility that mer people exist? Um, have any of y'all heard of the Aquatic Ape Hypothesis? And I kind of went over that roughly at the beginning of the stream. Um, why we clearly have adaptations, and that would seem to indicate that it's very well within the possibilities that fully aquatic humans may have developed in the past and may still exist. Nobody? Anybody seen one? Because I would certainly like to encounter some kind of proof. I mean, I guess I could put them in anyway. But I really like to try and keep the scientific plausibility factor engaged as much as I can when dealing with sci-fi. Although this is a Star Trek story, which means scientific plausibility, whether people realize it or not, went way the hell out the window. I am basically dealing with a fantasy sci-fi when you're dealing with Star Trek, because it's crazy. Brandy says that one with Dax Shepard and Seth Green. Who's the other guy? Matthew Lillard? I don't know. He's big on underwater panthers, but definitely believe in mermaids and sea people. Underwater panthers. I don't think I've heard that one. I have not heard of underwater panthers. Remiel says, with the view that humans are naturally aquatic, think of this. A baby can manage to survive when put in the water and not just sink and drown. Yeah, I mentioned it earlier that it was one of the indications. We definitely differentiated from chimps greatly with the amount of body fat we carry in general, but especially with our babies. And when also looking at the diving response, the permanent expansion of the carotid artery resulting in higher IQ, indicating that we seem to, it's not a very strong indication, but it does go with everything else, that we are designed to dive underwater and even can't achieve our greatest IQ unless we spend some time underwater swimming, held breath underwater swimming. So the idea is that possibly what was going on way back in the day is the baby was left floating while the mother dived down to, get some clams or something. And the babies they know to hold their breath, they float just fine. Yeah, totally. Bigfoot on says, yes, Brandy and Burt Reynolds. So yeah, I don't know. What do y'all think that it would be getting to? Because I've already included. I don't want to reveal too much about what happens in the story, but it's a Star Trek story, and part of what's going on, it's the biggest ship you ever seen on Star Trek. It has a part of the ship contains a forest, and part of the ship contains a mini ocean, basically, where where the whales and the dolphins and the octopi and fish and stuff. There's a beach where people can, it's inside the ship, at least one of the octopi, and I was thinking of maybe getting more involved with this whole thing. There's a scientist on the ship, and he's fascinated with all this, with the Earth ecosystem, and he created an android body. So the octopus can climb into the head of this android and can control the android and interact with humans through a human appearing android. But he's not the only intelligent species from Earth that this scientist has done this for. He also did it with a fungus. And so again, I haven't decided whether I want to make this multiple individuals or just one. But the reason why I'm bringing the fungus in is part of it has to do about freaking Star Trek Discovery with their stupid spore drive nonsense and using the name of Stamets. Them blasphemers. That's what they are. Anyway, there is a lot of indication that the mycelial network that is formed underground and a lot of the swell mass everywhere is made up of this mycelial network, tiny little threads, fungal threads. Because the mushroom you see pop up, it's just the sexual organ. It's just a reproductive organ. The body of that species, that fungus, is in the ground, but they've done experiments that seem to indicate that there may be some level of intelligence in the fungi. Those mycelial networks act almost like a neural network. So it's very interesting. So the idea is that they are capable of intelligence comparable with humans, and this scientist was able to place a fungal mass inside of an android, and it allows it to interact with humans as well, just like the octopus can. Kryptis says, I just couldn't get into Star Trek Discovery. Yeah, the ridiculous factor. Oh man. And then there was the whole controversy. I don't know if you saw where the tardigrade, the giant tardigrade thing. Apparently, there's some claim that they stole that whole idea from some guy somewhere. That which sucks. This is why I'm kind of a little bit worried about revealing anything, because someone might say, well, there's this guy and he's talked about online, he's working on preparing to write his script and it sounds really good, we need to steal it because it isn't copyrighted, right? So some of the best stuff I won't say online because there's certain things I just won't say. Because those things I just said are kind of minor things, but I'm trying not to say the overall theme. Like there's an overall theme to the entire series, but it kind of relates to these different organisms on Earth, but it turns out that there's several intelligent species on Earth. It's just that humans were just barely aware of it. Now we do kind of know in real life. We do kind of know that dolphins and whales are pretty damn intelligent, but what if they are way more intelligent than we commonly think, because we just think of them as these stupid whales. They don't have technology or anything, but it's already in the Star Trek universe. This whale probe shows up trying to communicate with whales, seeming to indicate that they have some relationship with some alien species that are technologically advanced and want to communicate with humpback whales as if they are an intelligent species. So the precedent is there, but they never really run with it. So I wanted to kind of run with it a little bit. The cryptid says, X Saturday Night Live writers all claim others would steal their jokes and ideas. It is so hard these days to be original and get the credit for your own idea. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and the reality is there probably is some. Probably is only so many ideas out there, right? You can only tell so many different things. There's got to be some limit somewhere. And most stories just follow the hero's journey or whatever. And if they don't, people don't like it because they're like, "What the hell is this jumbled mess?" And even if they try to tell it, they'll screw it up a lot of times anyway. I don't know if any of y'all watched it's I don't remember what year this movie came out. It's called White Dwarf. I always liked it. Don't expect great production value or anything. It definitely could use a lot of improvement, but I liked it. It was neat. But it's like the main character, like, he doesn't really, because in the story, there's this plot to kill the king on the other side of the planet and all this stuff, and the main character doesn't really have anything to do with it. The only thing he really, like, he shows up when the king's dying, but he doesn't really have anything to do with he's an intern with this other doctor, and the doctor is forced to euthanize the king because the king's suffering. And so the main character, all he really does is witness an execution. That's somewhat involved with the king and the princess, and meets the princess and flirts with her. But it's not like he does anything. Like, he doesn't discover the plot to kill. You would think he would be the one to discover the plot to kill the king or something, or it's like they had the makings of a really good story in there somewhere, but they just didn't get there. And too much exposition. It's just him talking, saying stuff and things that didn't make sense. But I mean, I still like it. But it's just another example of poor writing, though. So it's chat come to a halt. Looks like it may have. I think YouTube's still functioning. But it's 9:14. Does anybody have anything to add? Because I think I might go ahead and shut her down. It's 9:14. Yeah, it looks like YouTube's still working. Randy says, "I'm great. Thank you. How are you?" To cryptids? I don't know. Where's Mr. Lee tonight? I haven't seen him. Remiel Acosta says, in one show of KX Kreider, I'm not familiar with that. I once mentioned in chat that the recordings of a tribe of Bigfoot mournful sounding calls to each other gave me the impression of the sound of whales communicating. Huh. Yeah, I'm not familiar with KX Kreider. It just says, thank you, Brandy. All good. I missed the live, so I will try better next time, Lockbeard. Well, it was really impromptu. I was over watching Western New York Bigfoot Investigation Group channel, and they went like 3 hours. So I was waiting for them to be done before I went on, and so there was no warning. And this isn't a paranormal, specifically paranormal show. Like we can talk about anything on the random lives, anything you want. But yeah, paranormal is on the menu too. But I wanted to have the random lives address anything, current events, movies, science, whatever. Big Ross says Brandy got Mr. 3 locked in her basement. He's got Mr. Lee 3PO locked in her basement. She might. You gotta watch out for her. She might have him chained up because I haven't seen him today. He's missing in action. Hopefully he's just working or something. Although right now he should be asleep. You think it's 3 a.m. where he's at. I asked him the other night, when do you sleep, man? Because we've been running till on some of these random lives till 2 a.m. and that's 6 a.m. or 8 a.m. where he's at. He's like, it's like he's up at all hours of the night. Brandy says, "Shh, be quiet." Well, does anybody have anything else? Because I'm probably going to shut her down. I'm looking at Brenda Hawkins was in here earlier, and they were saying they were coming from another show that I'm not. Hawk Paranormal. It sounds familiar, but I don't got it on the TV guide. But I do have Brenda Hawkins' Paracryptid Hunter show scheduled for 10 minutes from now. So I don't know if any of y'all are planning on going over there. Anyway, I'll probably go over there for a little bit if she comes on, and we'll raid them back. Grab your pirate flags and say we got a Lockbeard pirate raid going on here. And it's how many people we got? 5. It's not going to be a very big raid. We need to get more people in here so when we do a raid, it floods the chat. So, yeah, let's go ahead and shut her down because I'm out of steam anyway, and Brenda Hawkins is coming on. So if y'all want to get some more paranormal stuff. Paranormal Live over there. You can get it over there. So everybody, have a good night. Thanks for coming by. Hopefully, gave y'all a little bit of hope that that's very possible that mer people could actually exist. And see you on some of the other shows. Squatch Talk, Sasquatch Speaks, and the other show on his channel, and the Beast TV guys, and Mogollon Monster, and Central Florida Bigfoot, and lots of shows out there. Daniel says, enjoyed the show, buddy. Good night. Thanks, Daniel. Good night to you, too. Brandy says, I like the raids. Brenda said not tonight, I'm pretty sure. Oh, that sucks. Alrighty then. I mean, because when they come in early, they said Hawk Paranormal, so I don't know if that was a different show or if she had her show early. So, well, if you raid, you raid. If you don't, you don't. if they're on or whatever. It was good talking to everybody tonight. Thanks for coming, and I'll see you next time. One last one from Remiel. He says, Lockbeard, try to check out KX Kreider Explorations. Robert Kreider has great research. He has revolutionary theories in our history. Awesome. All right. Thanks a lot. Good night, Big Rob. Everybody take it easy.